love and relationships, politics. It's real out here.
To me, I feel like it's about the risk and the reward.
There are some things that you don't want to do.
What you don't want to do,
Put yourself in a position.
put yourself in a position whereas, you made a choice, you took a chance, or made a choice, and now you have no other choices.
We're not guaranteed anything in this life.
The only difference between a good decision and a bad decision is the outcome.
This is a show about making decisions, making the best decisions, because decisions shape our future. So what we're going to talk about tonight on what you don't want to do.
What you don't want to do.
Yeah, it's a topic that we all, as family members, as loved ones, as significant others, face, and it is going to be dealing with children in a relationship that are not necessarily biological, but are definitely loved, cherished, adored, cared for. What is the line in the sand? What is too much? What is not enough? What is respect? What is disrespect? What are the boundaries that have to be set? What are the rules? What are the parameters? There are so many questions that surround it, but like I mentioned earlier, there are ones who are in relationships with significant others, and this question is raised in the confines of their own bedroom. Sometimes these questions are raised not in private, but in front of the children. That creates another traumatization, that creates another distraction, that creates another obstacle, something that has to be overcome, something that has to be addressed. Right.
So let me start off by saying, being married and with a child outside of my marriage that I had before I got married, some of my fears, honestly, was if my wife was gonna mistreat my child when I wasn't around. So that was one of my major concerns, truthfully. And I know early in our marriage, and me and Mel, we've been married over 27 years. But we was new in our marriage, you know what I'm saying? So here comes my oldest girl. At the time, I think she was maybe 3 or 4, and she was a bit mouthy. And me and Mel both always, I will say this, let me say that we've always agreed upon discipline. You know what I'm saying? We've always been hand in hand on how we want to discipline our kids. But I was always had that little thing in the back of my head, is she mistreating when I'm not there? And it's just one of them things where you just had to trust that the person that you married and you're involved with is going to do your kids right. And my oldest girl, she was old enough to say, if that was the case, but that was never the case. But just to say off the top, that was one of my major concerns. And so as the interactions went on with, my oldest girl and my wife, they became closer, and we had to have a real heart-to-heart. And she's like, Sean, I would never do anything to hurt this girl. You know what I'm saying? And if that's what you feel, then why are you leaving her with me? Mm-hmm. And it was a real conversation. And, I was like, you know what, you're right. If that's the case, if I can't trust you enough, you're not going to hurt her, then I need to either have her in daycare until I get off work or allow you to be the parent that I know you could be.
And both sides were probably valid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I had to respect how she felt because, like I said, we had a real conversation. And it was one of those conversations where, you be like, well, wait a minute. Me being real with her saying, honestly, this is how I felt. And then her being real with me and say, you know what, if that's the way you feel, then you need to find her an after-hours daycare till you get off, or trust me with her.
When you were talking, one thing that stood out to me is your situation is actually a little bit extenuating because it usually happens in the adverse. Mm-hmm. Here we are, you've met a man that you've fallen in love with, and you guys have entered into a marriage, you've made a lifelong commitment to each other. But a lot of times when you see a situation like this happen, it's actually the opposite. Mm-hmm. There's a man that's entering into a picture with the woman that he has fallen for, and she has children already. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he is put in a position to where he's going to have to decide if he's going to be responsible enough and mature enough and accountable enough to take these children on, not only as his own, because he has taken their mother on as his own, but to be able to give the same amount of love, the same amount of respect, the same amount of honor to these children that biologically he did not bear. And that's what was on my mind when I brought the topic up and began the conversation, because what you really don't want to do is you don't want to enter into a situation like that where there's an innocent child, because first and foremost, children are not asking to be brought into this world.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a decision that was made by their parents.
That's right.
Okay, under what circumstances, whatever it may have been, and now the child is here. It is a product of reproduction. Okay, that's the science of it all.
Right.
So now a child is here, and on many occasions, I'm sure that the viewers have also encountered these situations, and this is a topic that is something that we can all relate to.
It's common.
Yeah.
It's a common topic,
This is definitely a common
and
topic, and I mean,
it's happening more often than you think.
exactly.
Yeah, so you know,
It's happening more often than you think. It's
Exactly.
actually
Absolutely.
Prominent.
Oh yeah.
right.
It's
I
more
would,
common
if you
than
had
not.
to do some
Right,
statistics on it,
exactly.
you probably would see probably 1 out of 5, or even maybe 1 out of
Probably,
3.
yeah.
But you guys had the advantage of already being in a bond, already being in a marriage.
Right.
So
but it was only we was fresh now.
Yeah,
Mind
so
you, we
you-
was newlyweds. We was only what 2 years, or not even a year in.
Yeah, maybe not even that.
I don't think we
right
were
when that
married.
situation at
Yeah,
its inception, right? You know, so you had already made a commitment to each other.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
So you know there was a level of integrity, there was a level of trust.
Okay, yeah.
So even if it was something that nagged in your subconscious mind, I'm sure that you gave the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is too, you do hear it on the news all the time. You just do. You just never think it's gonna happen in your home.
Right.
So that's why for me, I was saying, Sean's perspective or his thought process was valid. Not so much that he maybe thought my wife is gonna do it, but can it happen?
Right.
Because again, you hear about it all the time in the home. You just never, of course, want it to be your home.
Right,
And then from, to me, Mel's perspective as the wife, as the spouse, as the, mother in this child's life, why would I ever?
Right.
Well, for me, it was about, I'm as a mother, I'm taking care of her. I'm the one responsible for doing her hair, and these are small things, but these are also important things.
Huge things.
I'm doing her hair. I'm fixing her dinner. I'm getting her dressed. So if you don't trust me, and if you're gonna doubt, whether or not I would hurt her, then yes, to what Sean previously said, you need to find her some type of aftercare, because what will happen is, as long as I'm seeing about her and taking care of her, she's going to respect me.
Yep.
Exactly.
That was
That's the
a
other
huge.
piece of it.
That's a whole nother piece of it, and that was huge for me.
Yeah.
She's going to respect me. I'm going to be able to discipline her, and you have to trust that I'm not going to do anything to her to bring any type of bodily harm.
Exactly.
But any type of discipline that I do, instill in her or bring to her is because she did X, Y, and Z, and then you have to trust that my reason for disciplining her
Right.
is also a valid reason. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many different levels to that. And for me, I had no children,
Right at the time.
none. So I'm new
You're
to
a
the
new
whole.
mom.
I'm a new mom
Right.
to a baby
Right.
that
You didn't.
I didn't birth.
Biologically, it's not
Right.
yours.
Most
Right.
definitely.
So for me, it's like, okay, how do you, because you always want people to know that you're doing the right thing, because a lot of time outsiders, because you're a stepmom, I've never used the term stepmom with her. Growing up, I've never introduced her to people, family members, as my stepmom. Shanice has
Exactly.
always been introduced as
My daughter.
stepmother. I've always introduced her as, this is my daughter. So I never even started the term stepmom in my home,
And I think that's big. That's huge.
because I never wanted her to feel like
There was a
there is a
divide.
difference or some type
Right.
of a divide.
First of all, when you talk about stepchildren, I really never really liked the term step. Like I actually even remember growing up, and it was like, we don't really use the term step children because it had, I would say like a negative connotation, like not derogatory, but it's like So with that in mind, then it was like, okay, well, what if you are in a family as one of the ones that would be considered step or would refer to others as step, how do you address them? That's one question. And then as an adult, now I would say, the term bonus. I'm in a relationship where I have someone that has previous children outside of our relationship before me. So that's another thing too. Now the kids came after you, they ain't bonus. Get that right.
Those are called
What are those called exactly?
Illegitimates.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's a difference. But if you're in a relationship with somebody who got kids before you even came into the picture, then to me those are like bonus kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a new term I think that people came up with.
I think that's more of a modern day term.
Yeah, modern day term.
I never
You get extra credit for them all?
Like
because I never
and
used
then
the
it's
term
like
step.
It's the
Period.
child you
She's
never
my
had,
child.
right?
We
Yeah,
never,
now
we
that
never
child
used
too.
step.
Yeah.
we never even used half.
I'm not.
We never even used half.
That's what's being said. That's what she's trying to
That's
say. It's the new
bogus.
20. It's the new 20.
You think bonus is
It's
bogus?
bogus. Bonus. What's the bonus?
The
You
bonus
get extra tax
is
credit?
the
When you say bonus, you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I'm
you
getting something
do.
additional.
Well,
That's what it is.
that's from one perspective now.
But
If
income
they're
tax time coming
if they're
around.
under the age
What you just
18,
said.
if they're under the age 18, it might be a tax credit.
Well,
Not,
so the people
that would be a bonus.
Tax bonuses, they
That's
call
a bonus.
they can call bonus.
ain't got
But I
nothing
think
on
that the
bonus.
idea is psychologically you're saying, you know what, this is a bonus. I need to consider this person in my life as a bonus.
Okay. From
Because
that
I'm with you. Me
perspective,
and you in a
okay.
relationship, you have a child, and I'm taking you, but that child is a bonus. It's supposed to be a
What
plus.
is the child? What is the child bad as hell? Are they still a bonus?
Because
Or
that
they're
was
the
your
best?
question.
That's
my
what they
thought.
was called a beating.
No.
That's the other B word.
So what happens when they get to the point where they scream out the
You ain't
ultimate
my
slap in
motherfucker.
the? You already know. You ain't
right.
my daddy.
That's you know what? I think that's the best way that back in the day I feel like as parents they may not have dealt with that, but that was a perfect segue to open up a conversation and sit down and discuss it all.
Okay.
Because if a child comes and say you ain't my daddy, that's when it's like, oh wow, we ain't really been talking about who is this person and what is their stake in the
Role,
game.
yeah.
That's when you as a parent I feel like that's when you should have did it before then. But if the child gets to a point they saying
That was the point that I brought.
that
up
means
in
some
the beginning.
situation done popped off, and now for that child to lament that, okay, yeah, let's have a seat because I'm not your parent. I'm not trying to replace your parent. That's not my position in this whole scenario.
But
But
you
here
will respect
is what
it.
I am
You're
going to be doing.
respect
But
it.
let
In
me
this
let me
situation.
give you another side to that. When they tell you that out of spite, trying to be hurtful, that's a whole different. So you could have done had those conversations, but what my point that I'm trying to make is you could have two different looks of that. You can have a situation where you just mentioned they throw that out there. Because okay, clearly maybe we haven't had some conversations, and so now we need to go back. We need to take a few steps back. But you could have already had those conversations, but they know that this is a way that they can hurt you, so they throw that out there.
Yeah, to me that's opening up another door,
Exactly.
another window of discussion.
No, that's opening a can.
Can of whoop
Crack
ass.
that head, whoop that ass.
because if a child says that, like you're saying, out of spite or to be hurtful with a certain intent, then that's another reason. Like, okay, well, what will make you? Why would you want to do that? Like to me, I'm all about the behaviors and the why. Why do people behave the way that they do? And if a person says that, there's a reason why. There's a reason why you're saying, "Oh, you
Okay,
ain't my
so you
mom."
feel like them saying that is an automatic indication.
Yeah, you trying to hurt me. You like you say, you trying to be spiteful. You doing that. You saying it on purpose. You already understand. Everybody know. I ain't your mama. So the fact that you're saying that to try and hurt me or invoke a reaction. Let me find out why. Like what's really going on? What will make you say that?
Do you think it's something so significant that it actually needs like intervention?
Yeah, for sure.
You need to look beyond.
So let me ask
To
you
a
this question:
degree.
does the
Yeah.
age matter?
That's another thing.
I think
because
that-
because
If the
when you're
child is
talking
able
about-
to say it and they know what they're saying, that's it right there.
So then it becomes like a manipulative tool.
Because now I didn't get my way,
Could
right? You didn't let me go where
whatever
I've been
or-
doing,
Right,
or whatever the
whatever
case may
like
be.
that.
So you're not my mom because my mom used to let me do it. Or when I'm at my dad's house, my dad lets me do that. So you can't tell me what to do because they didn't get their way. So that age factor is if you're able to enunciate that and bring it out, you know what you're saying. You
That's a
didn't
very
just
important
That's a
dynamic.
good point. Yeah.
so you
That's
have
very
to
important.
now is like you say you have had the conversation and it never came up, but that's because maybe the child has always gotten what they wanted or everything was always hunky dory.
It's okay.
And then that one time that you said no, well, no, you didn't say no. I was like just left my mom's house last weekend and she said yes. So that's what I'm going by. So that's when you have to have that one to me that conversation with. That's not how we're
And
gonna do this,
And I'm gonna make another
et cetera,
point.
et cetera.
One of the other things that I think is extremely important, if all three parents are not on the same page, that can cause even I'm gonna speak from like let's look at education. Okay, well in our household growing up with our children growing up, we didn't accept C's. C's was not. It's not acceptable because when you ask me for something, I don't give you a C effort. You ask me for a new phone, I don't go buy you some bullcrap phone. I get you the phone you asked me for. Okay, so C's were not accepted. But if you have a parent that says, "Well, I don't see nothing wrong with that," you see what I'm saying? Now you have this child who's feeling like we're just, you over here. They're just being mean, or they're just being,
They're just doing the most.
they're doing the most. But if I go over here, my mom is okay with these. So I don't see what the problem is.
See what I think that is right there. That's the first level of in the life of a child. Let you know there's levels to this thing. So,
it's trust me.
The levels were at the very
because
beginning.
it's not even your parent. It's your parent. It's your boss. It's your kid. It's whoever it is
teacher
you're
at
dealing
school,
with. If you will accept the C in life, then that's the level that you're gonna have in life. So that to me, it's like it don't matter. Yes, you're right. All parents, 3 parents, 4 parents, 1 parent, 2 parents. All the parents should be on the same page. But if they're not,
right,
then I will use that as a glaringly obvious opportunity to talk to that child and say, you know what? This ain't no judgment. This is what it is. We on a different level over here. Now, what level you want to be on? What you want to do? You want to live the C life? 'Cause we over here in the AB life. What you trying to? That's a perfect.
That's what it boils
direct.
down to.
it is.
Yeah.
But no,
It's
but I was
almost
just
like in
trying
your
to point
face.
out that these are things that happen when you have these blended families.
And the funny thing about it is, out of all of the commentary, it still leaves me with a question.
What?
Because you talked about 3 parents. How hard is it? How foreseeable is it to be able to get these 3 parents on the same page so that they can all attribute to the ultimate success of this child? Because the child is what's most important.
It depends on the mindset.
It depends on the mindset.
It really does.
Because you can have
It does.
any
Some people
okay,
just-
so you possibly let's just say you got 4 parents.
Yeah, say 4.
That's a
So,
possibility.
yeah,
as
let's-
well,
let's-
right?
yeah,
So, right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
And-
Ideal
and for-
scenario.
Ideal
Ideal
scenario.
scenario is 4.
You got 4 parents, right? You got mom over here, daddy over here, and they choose to go their separate ways. So now you got 4 parents.
And then that child sits somewhere in the middle.
And that child is directly in the middle of all that. But they're the offspring of the original 2. Now,
Yes.
Most
if
definitely.
they are ratchet and stupid and just does not care about life, then how is that going to help influence the child? You know what I'm saying?
And add this dynamic
I think-
to when the child or when you come into the child's life. In this case, this child came into your life very early, very early. So you had a whole lot of time to be together and work together and mentor and mold and
Right,
be,
Mold,
right
right.
there. Whereas you can take another situation where this child may be 15.
Yeah.
Or
18,
18, yeah,
21.
right. So then that's a
Already
different
set their
dynamic because
ways
now
and-
you got a old grown child.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that has
yeah.
lived with the parent that has allowed everything, where in your household it may not
It's
be
not
that way,
common.
or even vice versa.
Right,
So I think
right.
the age of the child and
It
the time
matters.
frame,
matters.
that plays a different
Definitely
role
matters.
too.
And
Or
I
it
think,
plays
and I think,
over.
and I think
Yeah,
one
it plays
additional part to
over.
that, because my
Definitely
scenario
matters.
is similar to that one when it's children that are more older.
More
But
older.
I think the other part is that, so maybe it's not a person, a parent that's ratchet. Maybe, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just a difference. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just different.
No,
But
it's
it's
some
not
ratchet ass
necessarily
parents out
good.
there.
Yes,
either.
I'm saying it's ratchet ass parents for sure. Cheat, but I'm checking.
Ratchet.
X in the box, ain't nobody checking me, but I'm so serious. I agree with that part. But I'm saying is like, okay, what about if it's a scenario where you have the 4 parents
Right,
and the children are older,
right.
similar to my thought process and the scenario that I have, and it's like, okay, well, that situation with your parent is not necessarily wrong. It's just different.
Right,
It's not bad necessarily,
right.
but it's not the same.
But not to cut you off, is it detrimental to the child?
It might not be detrimental. It just
As
might be
opposed
as like,
to
for example,
the new
maybe it's
situation?
it's the example of the ABC. It's like, you know what, your parent taught you good, but guess what? I know a better way. I know something
Right.
that's on the next level. You know what I'm saying?
So
So
to that,
But
I
the
can
child
take
has the child's brain, the thought process now has to envelop that.
So let me
because
ask-
if it's all they're used to is the C mentality,
Right.
it
That's what
doesn't
I'm
make
saying.
the A mentality, like you say, wrong. It makes it something they now have to adapt to, but generationally
So-
they may not be able
Right.
to or may not want to.
Or
Because we
be
talk
used
about
to.
breaking the generational curse for
Right.
some, where some don't want to.
right. So to Lisa's point was, so in that vein right there, what Lisa was speaking of, when you have a child that's used to just achieving at the C level and just going along coasting pretty much, have the potential of the A, but never been required to push.
right,
Right,
not,
exactly.
not detrimental, but you know,
Not
just you making
Right.
you making it happen. So let's keep it moving.
So-
It's acceptable.
But so here comes
Unfortunately.
a stepmom or stepdad and like, hey, why don't you go for the A? You could do the work, do some extra credits that now you're requiring more of it. So are you
You can do the A.
right? You can do so. You doing positive reinforcement, but one, is it going to be perceived as that by the child? And two, are you really taking a dump on the C lifestyle that they've been so accustomed to? You know, so
Or
are
two, is the other family going to embrace what you're
Embrace it,
trying
right.
And that.
to incorporate into the
right?
mix?
So it's just
At that
it's,
point,
it's
with the
crazy.
older,
It's
with
a
the scenario
dynamic,
that we just talked about with the older children, like you know what I'm saying, people that are like 18 and above, I feel like it doesn't necessarily matter if the other family embraces it. Now you get, this is all about exposure. This is like when you leave off high school and go, it's a person that graduated from high school with the C's, went off to college, thank God, or maybe went to some other next level education scenario, and now you getting exposed to the professors, to people who live in a household or a B household.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now, like,
exactly.
oh wow, you know what? I need to step my game up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I did what I C's make degrees. I got my degree, but now I want to elevate myself. I think that's what it comes into.
Self-elevation.
Being exposed to it. And I experienced that when I went to FAMU from as a college graduate, which okay, you going to college? Yeah. I'm going to college. Okay. So I get to college and I'm like, okay, wow, it's a whole nother life and world and other people that have had totally different experiences from the ones that I've had. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, this is the 17th person in your family that came to FAMU. Your great grandmama was a FAMU
It's a
graduate.
tradition.
You know what I'm saying? It's a tradition to come
You
here.
didn't even know
You
this
know,
existed.
man,
Legacy.
exactly. A
I was
legacy.
the
Right,
first
it's a
person in my
legacy,
whole
right.
family
They
that
go
ever
to-
make it to college.
Exactly. So it's
You
like,
did
to
what?
me, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a whole nother level of, it's a realm of exposure
Right.
that help you get there. And as I say, it's not that it's wrong what you've been doing. Maybe you was ghetto and trifling and ridiculous, or maybe you just was like, okay, baby, just do the best you can, and then
Maybe that's all that parent knew to do as well, though.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed
If
to
that's all they know.
'Cause
Let
like
me
they said,
interject
if you
this.
knew better, you do better. It all ties
Yeah.
in because these are some of the same conversations you need to have as you enter into a relationship with a woman, or as a woman, you enter into a relationship with a man, and there are children that are involved. The ones you bring or the ones you encounter. These are some of the same things that you need to be able to do. You need to be able to impart.
And it goes, but it goes back to the old school. I keep saying old school, like the previous generation, because the previous generations were not perfect.
Right.
Okay,
By a long
let
shot.
that be known. They were not perfect, but the previous ways of thinking about things, the old school way
The old
is,
school way.
it takes a village to raise a
It
child.
takes a village.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the aunties and uncles and grandparents and everybody together is wrapping their arms around that child, and not just the child in one family; it's the child in the whole family, in the whole neighborhood, the whole community.
definitely.
Now the term that you hear a lot of times is your tribe. Like, who's your tribe? Who are the women or men or family members or friends, that are around you that contribute to you and your growth?
Us as a people, I feel as though it should be a given anyway. You into
You
a
would think?
situation with this little black boy or this little black girl who has a biological parent that's no longer a part of the equation for whatever reason, and you're there.
But one thing you just brought to my mind, not to cut you off,
Why
is
not?
that, hold on now, you gotta, you know that from the beginning though. So when you first meet somebody, you talking about with them, oh, you got kids? Oh, I don't date people with kids. Holla. Excuse me, let me exit left.
Then, you know what I'm trying to say? That way, the responsibility
Yeah.
is not on you.
It just
But
brought
as
me
soon
to a
as you say, okay,
decision.
well, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move forward. I know you got the kids.
Once
but
you
we're
make
gonna
the
do
decision,
this.
once you make the
Move
decision,
forward,
right.
That should be happening. That should be happening soon.
Then everything
early on.
else, you know what it is.
You know what it is.
Step on in the role and let's feel it.
And let's feel it.
'Cause
Okay,
that's-
right.
that's
Step
what
on
it
the
is.
roll and let's
And
feel
be
it.
okay
Right.
that you may not get everything right in the beginning
Oh,
because it's
absolutely.
new for you.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't have your own effort there,
That's right.
Oh, that's all communication
right?
101.
That's what we
And
talked
we
about
talked about that
earlier.
in the
You
beginning.
know, if the
Communication is
communication,
you listen. You have to.
that is the key. That
There
I'm gonna tell you,
There is-
communication. It sounds so cliche,
but it's
but it's
No,
harder
no, no,
than
no,
a
no,
mother.
no. That's why
What?
that's why they're trying to make it sound cliche. Because with the communication, you succeed, and without it, you fail.
you
fail
You
each
fail.
Major,
every
major.
I'm trying to show that's how we got to communication and
Oh,
love.
okay, yeah.
That's how we got there. Because what happens is, if you have a child, if I have a child, which I have a child, and I meet a guy, that's probably gonna be one of the first things I say out my mouth.
Yeah, I got it.
And he gonna make the decision then
Yeah.
to if he want to deal with me. You know what I'm saying? And so
But then, all right, that's good, and you're giving them an option at the gate to say, you know what, okay, you cool, you got a child, but we also were talking about at the beginning of this segment how there has to be a vetting period before that child is introduced to that.
And that's a part.
Definitely.
So
That should be, and that
regardless-
makes sense.
Yeah, that's important, but what's more important is you vetting that person that's not the child's biological before they get introduced to them.
Exactly. And my main thing was in that vetting period, you begin to make a determination about whether you actually want to introduce this person to you.
or not. Like
Or
if,
not.
before
Right.
you even
You need
get
to
there.
vet them for
You know
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say?
Right.
And
Part of that
so
is
we go
for
like judgment and
you.
Yeah, I
character
can't
on
even
top,
move
but
forward
then-
with you in a relationship
Right.
because of the fact that I don't feel comfortable
I don't feel
introducing you to my child.
Right.
Exactly.
and stop bringing
Ooh.
them
And I
up.
think
Praise
that's-
the
I
Lord
think
on
that's-
that one.
I think like that's the missing part.
What?
Because you're
For
moving too
some,
fast,
yeah.
you're introducing this monster to your child that you don't even know.
You
And then what he does, you don't realize, oh my God, this person was going to do that anyway in the beginning, but you didn't assess the situation correctly, effectively, thoroughly enough. And then you let this
You end
person
up with
into
this-
it. Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say? So yeah, that's the way that goes.
You made a choice, you took a chance, or made a choice.